My name is Macharia Munene. I'm Professor of History and International Relations at the United States International University in Nairobi. History is dynamic. It is through history that people get to know themselves, their character, and to develop ability to strategize and safeguard their interests. If people do not know their history, their background, the forces that have shaped them, they then tend to be shaped by other people. And the essence of being human is to perpetuate yourself and your kind, your interest, and not to perpetuate some other groups or interests at the expense of your own.
What we call creating agents out of people, right? And in so many cases, creating agents and thinking and acting in a way that supports the goals of the colonizers, right? And it goes against the well-being of the ones who have been made agents.
Imperialism and colonialism are conquests. One people beating up on another people and imposing their ways of lives, of thinking, of doing anything, then only then do they feel happy. And they can talk about their empire. And that means that they have made other people believe in their own superiority.
They have made other people believe in their own superiority. And that's exactly what the European conquerors did when they went all around the world conquering, right? And so the professor is going to explain the tools that they used to do this.
And that the right way to do things anytime is to do it the way of the conqueror. So colonialism was an exercise in imperial conquest. And to do that effectively, there were three instruments that were used.
Let's find out about the big three instruments or the tools that were used to do this. Come on with it.
You had the soldiers with their guns and whatever else they did to beat people into submission.
The hot firepower, that's one of the tools that made people submit and say, Mr. Colonizer, yes, you are stronger than we are, and therefore we will do as thou says.
Then you had the administrators. Sometimes the soldiers became the administrators. And the administrators' job was to govern the conquered people in the way with the foreign rules and new laws that serve the interests of the conqueror, that is the colonial state.
Then there was the administrators who made sure that the people were governed in a way that supported the interest of the colonizers, right? And so this was a system that was set up that produces an outcome, right? An outcome that was for the benefit of the colonizers. And so when we're talking about a system, we're talking about a way of doing things that when you follow it precisely, it produces the same or a similar result every single time, right? And so what the professor is saying is that the administrator's job was to ensure that a system was established, right, that was rigged in the favor of the colonizers. Understand?
The third instrument were the missionaries. Their job was to soften the conquered, in this case the African, called the native. Once he's softened, he is then manipulable, and he can be acculturated into the ways of the conqueror.
The missionaries came in and they acted as if they were the friends of the African people, and they acted as if they had their best interest in mind. And so the colonizers, who were controlling the whole setup, they used the religious tool to shape the mind of the people, right? And to get them soft, right? Soft to accept their role as a subordinate people.
So, and to do that, the missionary had to convince the African, the conquered person, that everything about him is evil. Everything about him is devilish.
And this is how they use the devil as a tool to get those people to imagine themselves as being evil, right? And so they did the same thing when they went over to the Native Americans and conquered them, right? It's the same strategies, right? They use the idea of the devil, which the colonizers most certainly understand this to be purely an idea, right? They get the missionaries to come on in there with this, and they use this idea of the devil to make the African people and to make all the other conquered people see themselves as something that's negative and something evil, and to get them to hate themselves, right? That's how they use this as a tool.
Because the only true way is the way of the conqueror.
And Christianity came packaged as part of the one true way of the conquerors. And the Africans, many of them, they bought into this thing. And just like many of the other conquered people around the world, they became zealous believers, right? Firm believers, out-believing the conquerors themselves, right? And to the point where they would rather die than to just simply let go of something that has never served them and has never had a net benefit.
And they were encouraged by some Americans, particularly former President Theodore Roosevelt, who visited the place in 1909 and urged them to do it, turn this place into a white man's country, that it would be a crime against humanity not to do that, and but do it with firmness and fairness using the missionaries.
Using the missionaries. And the missionaries are going to use what? Christianity, which has been completely colonized by the white power structure, with the images of God, Jesus, the images of all the angels made to resemble the white power structure, right? And those images are going to be implanted in the minds of the Africans and all the other oppressed people as well, with the purpose of doing what? Turning the place into a white man's country, just like the professor said.